today we are going to start with get data SQL Server. So now we are going to get the data from SQL Server. For that, we need to provide server name, database name, or some other information. Okay. So here my server name is, let's say I'm going to load the data from localhost. In case if you are going to load data from any other system, from any other server, then you can pass the server name or the server IP address. Localhost. Database name here is optional. If you provide, then it's good. Otherwise, on next screen, you will see all your databases. Okay, all of your databases which you have in your SQL Server. So here my SQL Server has been started. So here I'm going to log in into the SQL Server. Okay, so once I logged in, I can see here this is one AdventureWorks database, right? I can load it. Let me check the size. Which one is like large database? That one I'll use. This is 336 MB somewhere. How much it is? Well, it is 208. Okay, so I'll use the first one. Okay, so this is our database. I want to use it. So this is the database name. I'm just copying the database name. Provide your database name here. Then next we have one thing, that is data connectivity mode, right? So as of now, I'm just choosing it import only, right? But what is direct query and what are these connectivity modes? What are the importance of these? It's like a very detailed discussion, right? So as of now, I'm choosing import. Let's go to the advanced option, because sometimes what you can do, you can write some SQL queries, okay, and that native SQL queries you can provide into the Power BI here to extract your data. Let's suppose here I want to get the data from any table. So in my table, let me show that in my database, what are the tables I have. So in the sales schema here, I have customer table, okay, and I have sales order table, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extract the data from this table, right? Select extract from this. Let's see the records. So I can see all this data I have here. I have the sales order number and everything. I have the customer ID, right? So I want to get the customer name also here. So what I can do for that, I can make a join here. So for making the join, I can add one. Okay, so let's leave the join. Let's get it from this very simple one first. So I'm going to get this query. Let's go here, go to advanced option here. I can paste this query, okay? You may be having some complex queries, so that you can write in SQL Server and you can paste that query here. Then you simply click on OK. On next screen, it will ask me to the username and password. Why it didn't ask? Because the credentials are already saved. Okay. So in such cases where the credentials are already saved, and if you want to clear those credentials, how you can do that? Okay. So you can see that this is the navigator window and I can see my data. Now rest of the thing is same. I can either click on load or on transform data. Okay. So let me show you that if you want to change the data source, if you want to change the credentials, if you want to clear the credentials, then how you can do that. Okay. For example, as I have created one report, okay, and I'm using the Excel as a data source, that Excel file is placed in my system, in my C drive. Maybe when I share the Power BI report with you, now when you will try to refresh the data in that Power BI report, then you need to have the Excel file in the same place, like inside the C drive. Maybe if you place that file in somewhere else, like in D drive, then you have to change the data source settings. Okay, you got my point, like where it is required. So now how to change that? Go here and transform data, go to data source settings. Here you will see the data source, and if you see the global permissions, then you can see here. So as of now, for example, this is the OData feed, right? If you want to change this, you can click here and you can provide the another OData URL here. If you want to change the like credentials permissions, then you can add it here. And right now it is connected through anonymously. Okay. If you want, you can click on add it, and here you can provide your further credentials like web UPI, basic Windows credentials. Okay. So with any account you want to connect with it. Or if you want to clear the credentials, like for OData, my system didn't ask me to connect to provide any password. Why? Because the credentials are already saved. So if you want to clean them, simply here, select the source and click on clear permissions. When next time I will connect through this OData link, then it will ask me to provide the credentials. Okay. So it may be sometime like when you want to clear all the permissions, when you want to like change the source, then you can do that from here. Got it? Okay. So in this file, we are getting the data from OData link. So I'm going to like stop it. I'm going to save it and going to open the another one file. OData connection. Closing it and starting a new one. All right, so like in Power BI desktop, basically when you want to get data, you simply go to get data option, okay, to extract the data from any source. So here, obviously we cannot see like all the data sources, the example of data sources, because there are like hundreds of data sources. So like few data sources we'll see, and then you try to extract, you try to explore it. In case you get any difficulty in through loading the data from any data source, then you can discuss with me, okay. So the most important one, SQL Server, I'm going to show you. Localhost, and the database name is AdventureWorks 2017. And here I'm going to provide my query. Now you see data has been loaded and I can click on transform data. So now data is in RAM, in memory, and it's in query editor, right? So now you see that query one, I want to change the table name. So I can just change it from here. This is my sales header. Now, if you want, you can load it into the Power BI desktop. Okay. Now, one important thing is, if you want, you can load the data, you can extract the data through this query editor window. Okay. Like I'm on this query editor window, I want to load one more table from SQL Server. Okay. Then what I can do, I can click on this new source. New source is same as get data. Okay. This new source is same as this get data. All right. So I can click on this new source, choose SQL Server. And here you can provide your database name again. Here, this time I'm not going to provide the native query here. This time I want to see the list of tables. So I click on OK. Now here on this navigator window, I can see the list of all views and all tables. Okay, so let's say if I select this customer table, okay, and I click on, so this table will also be loaded here in Power BI query editor. When you load the data from the table, then the table name will be automatically appeared here. It will get the table name automatically. If you are getting the data, if you are extracting the data through the native query by just writing SQL query, then it will not give you the table name. You will have to define the table name manually. Okay, so now you have these tables here. Okay, these some columns are coming here. We'll discuss about the story of these columns. Like these are the referenced columns. Okay, so now you have data here. Now you can load it in Power BI desktop. Now within this Power BI, if you want to get the data from any other source also, that is also possible. It doesn't mean like in one Excel, in one Power BI, you can load the data from only one source, right? As we have already discussed, like in from multiple data sources, you can extract the data in one Power BI report, in one Power BI file. So again, you can go here and you can extract data from Excel, from web, or from anywhere. Okay. And now simply click on close and apply, and your data will be loaded into the Power BI desktop here. And rest of the thing is same. Do the data transformation, data modeling, DAX, relationships, and visualization, right? So the picture is clear now that there's not anything, like technical thing in getting the data. I hope that this is clear to everybody. Okay. Now an important data set I'm going to show you, the last one. Okay. And after that, we'll jump onto the data transformation part. So many times, maybe you also you will also be having such kind of requirement, or maybe you are already having it. Let's suppose you have a folder. Okay, in that folder you place your Excel files, like on, for example, you place January month file there, then you place Feb month file there, then you place March, then you place April. So basically in this way, you are just placing all your like sales data files in any one folder. And what you want to get the data from that folder from each file. Like for example, today, if you are building a report using such kind of data, then what you will do, you will extract the data of like Jan, Feb, March and April file. What will happen like when you will place new file in that folder, right? So it's not possible like every month you will open the Power BI report in Power BI desktop again and you will pick the file manually every month, right? So in order to automate it, what you can do, you can directly give the path of that folder. Okay, so it means we are allowing Power BI to treat that folder as a source. Okay, so whenever the new file will come in that folder, Power BI will automatically pick that and it will show the data in your report. Okay, and also automatically it will merge, it will append, not merge, it will append the data of those files. Did you got my point? Like what's the requirement? Okay, great. Okay, so now I'm just trying to find such kind of data set if I have, or otherwise I'll create one. Okay, so I'm going to create it from scratch. Let's say here I have one folder. This is my monthly sales data. And here I have, suppose let me open one Excel. All right, so this is, let's say, all right, okay, so here I have, in this folder I have two files, Gen and Fab, right? So now what will happen, like in next month, I'll have another file here, okay? And in the same way, I'll be having more files here. So now what I want to get this data from this folder automatically. So let's go to get data, go to more option and choose this folder, right? Click on connect. We need to provide that path, or we can browse it directly from here also, okay? Or like just copy that path here, paste it here, click on OK. Here you will see these two files, right, which we have, right, Gen and Feb. Okay, so there is some other information also which you can see. Now what you can do, either if you want to load the data of different files, right, then you can click on transform data, and what will happen, like there you will get two tables, two queries, okay, one for Gen and one for Feb. Okay, but in our case, what we want to combine the data of these two files in one, and in case if in future if we get more files in this folder, then that should be automatically combined. Okay, so here you can see now another tab, that is combine. You can see here two options, combine and transform data and combine and load. It means after combining the data of these two files, do you want to transform that? Yes. Or if you do not want to transform, you want to directly load in Power BI Desktop, then you can choose this one, combine and load. So I'm selecting combine and transform data. So when I select combine and transform, here you will see that it is showing me some options, right? So here you can see the first file. There are like some things like select the object to be extracted from each file, which object should be extracted, right? So here, let's say initially I'm just selecting first file, okay? Selecting the data here. And I'm going to click on OK. So this is just a preview of the first file, and which is first file, Feb file. This window has been changed actually, because earlier it was the appearance of the window was different and the functions were also different. Okay, so now you can see that there are a lot of things have been automatically created in your Power Query editor. Okay, what happened here? Nothing. First, it loaded your first file, then it loaded your second file. After that, it created your one file as a sample file like fab file. After that, it just appended the data of these two files. Okay, actually, I just loaded it into the same table, so that's why this sales header and sales customer, you can see this is from our SQL Server tables. Okay. Don't be confused with the sales header. I should take the another report, but I loaded into the same file, no problem. So this is your monthly sales data, right? And in the monthly sales data, you can see if you just filter out it here, you can see that data is coming from these two files, okay? And you can see it has been automatically appended. Okay. Now let's load this data in Power BI Desktop by just clicking on this. Okay, so do one thing then. I'm just going to unsave this file. I'm not going to save it because in new file I will load it. Okay. So I'm just going to delete the all the other tables from here. In this file we will be having only. All right. So these two we have which we loaded from the SQL. Let me save it as SQL Server source, and then we'll start from scratch again from the folder data. So what we have here, we have two files. Okay. Meanwhile, let me do one thing. I'm just going to copy it and placing it here. And this one, for example, is my March file. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just load 10 records in the March file. I'm going to delete the rest of all. This is my March data. Okay, so now what I want to get the data from this folder, monthly sales folder. Okay, so here I have, let's say, January sales data, Feb sales data. So what I do, I just go get data, more, and choose here folder, and provide this path, the folder path. You will see two tables, two files here right now, right? Combine and load it, combine and transform data, because we want to combine the data of these two files, and also we want to load it in query editor. So click on it. Now you see here that you need to allow Power BI to take a sample file, right? So you can choose either Feb or Jan, anyone. By default, it takes the first file, and first file is February, right? And first file means from the folder, which is the first file, Feb. So you select it, and okay, so I see one question here. If multiple files having summary at the top and the data starting at a different rows, see all your files which you have here, all your files should have the same format of the data, same column names, and the same data types. Okay, this is the condition.
Mayank, what about sheet names? If there are two different sheet names in files,
Two different
sheet names are different, two different files.
Okay, so no, actually it will give you the sheet names here. It is giving you the sheet name, like which sheet you want to select. And for example, like, let me just open. So here also, it is asking you that which sheet you want to merge. At one time, you can merge only one. Like there is also sheet one. So the name of the sheet should be same with this one. One time you have to merge with sheet one to sheet one. And let's say if you have another sheet also, then no problem. Again, you can load it. You just need to perform the same activity, okay, for the sheet two mapping. So I think that window has been closed. Let me get it again. So quickly, let's see this example. I just selected this, combine and transform, right? So sheet one is coming here, okay? So if you have sheet two also, then that also be available here. So it's up to you whether in the same connection you want to get the data from sheet one and sheet two, or you can enable another connection. Another connection means like the same step you can repeat. That's it. I click OK. By default, it will merge, it will combine the data of these two files in one. Right. So here you see monthly sales data, right? And this is like your folder name. Here you have the data of these two files. Okay. Now let's load this data quickly in Power BI desktop. Okay. Meanwhile, now I will be having the data of these 2 months, Power BI desktop. Meanwhile, now I came in March and I have the March sales data. So what I'll do, in the folder, I'll place the March file. Okay. Now what I'll have to do, now you can see the data in Power BI desktop. Data is in Power BI desktop. Here you can see, and you can see what is the source. So you can see if you want to see the January data, so select the Jan data only, and here you can see. Select Feb. Here is your Feb data only. Okay. Now, how to get the March data here? You don't need to do anything. Once the report will refresh, it will automatically get the data for March. Let's do it. Click on refresh. The refresh is done. Let's go to the source name. Here we go. March data is automatically coming. In our March, we were having 10 records. In April, if we will be having new file, and we'll place the new file here. Once the report will be refreshed, it will automatically get the data from that folder. So basically the point is like whenever you are going in the folder, it will just look in folder and total files, whatever the file is there in that folder, it will get the data of those files. But the condition is data type, column names, or like Excel format should be same, because it just match, it just do the union, column name to column name, data type to data type. Okay.
I got another question. Can I have, for example, the Jan data that I have changes in it, and if I could have a different file, like maybe that I would have an updated data to it. Let's just say that Jan as of second week, and then I have fourth week. So can I have that second file to the Jan and then override the changes in the data source, or is it I have to remove the first one and then have the second one?
Two things you can do. Let's say in my Feb file, I have some other changes. Okay, so that I want to change here. Let's say the file name is Feb2.
Yeah, correct.
Now just refresh the data here. You will get the Feb2 here. Okay, but the data will be appended. Feb2 data will append in your source.
Okay, so if there are similarities between Feb and Feb2, will they be will it overwrite, or is it going to
it is Power BI is just sensing this Feb2 file is a new file. Okay, so it will just add the data of that new file if source if the file format is same. Let's say Feb1 file was the wrong data, was having the wrong data. Now the updated data is Feb2. Just delete that file and keep it here and refresh it. That's here. Feb data will be removed automatically. All right, thank you. Okay, next question I can see here, if multiple files having summary at the top and data starting at different rows, yeah, no problem. It will load, but the condition is file format should be same for all the files, like data column names, data types. If there is like some blank, like some space, some gap between your records or some blank columns, then that you have to manually transform. You have to delete those columns, delete the blank rows, such kind of manual or data transformation you have to do in Power BI. Okay. Next question I can see, is it possible to override data if additional? Okay, so that question was from Manoj. Okay, so that another I can see here, without delete file, can't we refresh updated data? See, we cannot update, we cannot refresh the updated data without deleting file. Why? Because when Power BI is having when you place a file here, another file, so it will treat that it's a new file, it's a new data for Power BI. So it will just get and load it. If you want, what you can do, you can just replace the file, replace the data inside the Excel. Okay, so let's say in this Excel file, let's say you have right now 2000 records. Let's say you have another data, or you want to make some correction here. You just open the file and make the correction. Okay, this is the way, because if you are adding a new file here, if I'm adding the new file, it means it is another file, it is another source. So now for Power BI, these are the 4 data sources. Okay, So it doesn't matter, like it's just you want to refresh it or like what you want. It will just create it as a new source, new file, and it will append the data inside that. Okay. No, it doesn't load the subfolder. It will load the files under the folder data, under the folder. If you have another subfolder here, it will not load that. It will just get the Excels only. This folder on this subfolder question, actually, I need to cross check once because earlier it was not possible. But recently, I think in last year, December or November, Microsoft made some changes, right? So I need to cross check it. It's a good question, Will. Earlier, I'm sure that it was not possible, but as Microsoft is making changes very frequently, so let me do that. Okay, next question, does it load all the sheets of the Excel? Yes, all sheets. Sheet names should be same. Like in your one Excel sheet name is like A, and your another Excel sheet name is B, then it will treat that these are the two different sheets. So it's not append. All right, okay. So now let's save this. Folder data connection. Okay, so here we have seen that multiple data source connections. Okay, now one more data source I'm going to show you that is might be sometime useful from the Azure database. Okay, so is there any possibility to get the data from Azure for you guys? Azure databases, Azure cloud, any cloud database? For Excel source, the limit size is 1 GB only. Okay, next question. I can see one more question here. Could you please show us how to load data from nth row? No, that is not possible. You cannot define that from which row the data load should be started. What you can do, once the data loaded in Power BI, then you can define that let's from fifth, from the like fifth row or from 10th row, get the data. Okay. Once data is loaded, then you can do this thing. Before loading, you cannot define, you cannot like allow Power BI to do it. Okay, so now here, let's see one more data source that is also very frequently used data source, that is cloud data source, or here I'm going to take example of Azure SQL database. Okay, so sometimes like companies are having some data in the cloud, and they also prefer to get the data from the cloud data sources like Azure. So here you choose Azure SQL database, click on connect. Here again you need to provide the server name. Okay, so the server name is here. This is the Azure server. If you want, you can connect it into the SQL Server Management Studio. You can connect to the server in this tool also. Okay, so let me show you. Just give the server name, and the username is here, and password is, okay, let me get the password. I think password was different. I just need to get the password, guys. Just it's very complex password. Let me enter here. All right, so I'm trying to connect with Azure database. All right, so you can see now I have connected to another database, another server here, which is this one, right? Under this, I have one database, this one, right? So now let's quickly load this data also. So first I need a server name, which I have here. This is my server name, and the database name, I can get it here. So I got the database name, right? Again, the same thing, you can choose the connectivity modes, and here if you want, you can write the queries also, right? But here I'm going to see the complete list of the tables. So I just click on OK. And here I can see all the tables, right? So now, for example, if I select any table, selected it, and directly if I want to load, directly click on the load button. Now without transforming it, without loading this data in the RAM, data directly would be loaded in Power BI desktop. Okay. The point is like here today we saw like many data sources, how to get the data from many sources. So it doesn't mean like the process of getting the data or extracting the data from sources is like would be different for different sources. So it is almost same. Okay. What you need basically, you need the data source, server, credentials, database name. That's it. In case of like any OData or any like web URL, you need the service, web service URLs, okay, and the credentials of that. That's it. So it is a straightforward thing. But you need to make sure like you are not, when you load the data, right? As I was loading the data from SQL Server. So I need to make sure that which connectivity mode should I choose. It doesn't looks like if I'm going to load like billions of data, billions of records, then blindly I'm loading it. Before that, we need to make some decisions. Before that, we need to do some analysis on that data. Okay, otherwise, if you blindly load the entire data in Power BI, like even if some columns are not in, you are not going to use, some tables you are not going to use, then it will give a performance impact. You will see a performance impact during the data load, during the rendering time of the visualizations. All right, so now we have the data here in Power BI Desktop. So we can save it. One more important thing is like sometimes you may need to create a static table in Power BI. Let's say you want to, you have some data, like for example, you are getting some values. For example, very simple example is like you have a gender column, right? In that gender column, a data is coming something like 1 and 0, something like this. So what you want to just you want to create a small dimension table, like if 0 is male, then 1 is female, something like this. Or let's say if like for any other purpose, you want to create a static table inside the Power BI, right? So within the Power BI also you can create a data table. How? Let's see. There is one option, enter data, right? So by clicking on this, you can enter the data or you can copy paste also. See here, for example, I have some column, some data here, okay, and I copy this data and I load it in Excel. Now I want to load this data, like that much record in here in this static table. So I select that and I click here and paste it. Actually, it started from the header. Generally, it should get the header only, so I can undo that. So now the first record, the first row is my header, right? And rest of that data has been just copy paste here. So in case you have some data that directly you can copy paste here also, okay? And that is your static. That would be always a static. When I say static, it means the data will not be changed unless you do not go here and you don't change it. You can edit it or you can change the column name also. Fine. If you want to create another column, just click here and you can create another one. Delete like this. Okay. So this is very helpful actually in many scenarios. You may need to create such kind of tables also, depending on the requirement. So it means it's not, it doesn't matter like if you need some data, then first you have to create an Excel or you have to put that data somewhere else and after that create a connection and load that. No, what you can do if that data is static, right? Then what you can do within Power BI also, you can create a table and you can store the data. Got that point? Okay, is there any option to load the data from table from Power BI to database? So I think you are asking what does it mean, like you want to load the data table from Power BI to database? Like from Power BI to database, you want to load the data?
Right. Vice versa. Whatever we are doing now.
Only read only you can do. Write anything. That's why in the beginning I said write back is not possible. You cannot do any change in your source data. You cannot modify the data in your source. You cannot create new data in your source. You cannot delete. Only you can read that. It's one way.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You can see here how many rows we can copy at a time. Is there any limit like excess? Practically, I never tried it because generally the like if we are going to create a static table, so generally that should not have the like millions of record. A static table cannot have a static millions of records. Generally, like few records we have, but if you are saying I can just test it. So here I have like around 31,000 records. So if I just want to paste it here. Yes, the clipboard contain too large data. So, okay, so it can get the 3,000 cells only. 3,000 records you can load. So let's test the 3,000 also. 3,000 only. So let me do one thing. Delete the 3,000, more than 3,000 data. So it's 3,002. Let's test it first. No, 3,000 it is still saying. So now let's delete these two records also. One is the header also. Please split your data into multiple tables with less than 3,000 cells. Now even we have 3,000. Okay, so let's delete some more records. So
Mayank, I
it's
think
not
it is
allowing.
referring to, yeah, it is referring to cells actually. So 3,000, if you look at the columns, yeah, it's more.
Yep.
Select
Got
all
it
that,
right.
yeah.
So it's like when I'm selecting it, so the count is like even for one record. So it means like cell record. So it is referring to these records. Yes. So then it's like it is for one record, for one cell, it is like around 2,992. So I think that should it take. Yeah. So it's cell record actually. No, even it is not taking this one also. So now it means size limit is very small, like few records only we can do. Although there is not any count specific here. 3,000 cells also it is not taking. Even it's like if you see the cells, number of cells are like 2,992. So this is not even taking it also. So seems like it's having very less capacity to store the data. Like that's why I said like generally we keep it, we create the data table, enter data table, like for static data. Static data generally we have like for example few records for them, like we need to just make aliases. Okay. Okay, next question I can see, can we write functions in static? No, you cannot write any function, anything. It's just a table and you can place the data here. That's it. And even the very small size of data. Okay, that's it from my side for today's session.